There has been another problem with the guitar. We need some context, so let me tell you a story. Back in the day I was supervisor in the audiovisuals department in the Opera House of Valencia. There was a time when we had to make one opera. I don't remember which one. There was a lot of audiovisuals on it. Between the Act 1 and the Act 2 we have a trolley with a lot of computers and hardware and consoles to control everything that we had to take to a place and connect everything really fast to make all the projectors switch on and display all the televisions and all that stuff. So we were making the opera like any other day, and suddenly by the intercom they called me and said, this is not working, we are doing everything and we don't know what's going on. So I rushed to the place and see a couple of technicians moving around a table with a lot of stuff, checking absolutely everything. Funny thing is that they didn't plug the power connection. I came in, I just saw what was happening, I plugged the power and everything was sweet and smooth. So what happened is that they were just so in the business of doing their stuff that they lost perspective. I didn't have anything special, everybody could see it, so I just need to have fresh eyes to solve the problem. And that is what has happened with the guitar. I started gluing the top of the guitar and making the assumption that it was flat like in any other guitar. So I made my jigs and I started gluing and it was fine. But one day Ilán, a colleague, came into the workshop and said to me, what are you doing? This top has a bow. And I couldn't believe that it was very obvious. But I glued the top flat instead of the bow. So again, I just complicated myself a little bit more. So now I need to redo my work, and for make a proper gluing I need to make a new solera. If you remember, for videos ago I made one for the back of the guitar. But this time it's going to be a little bit different because I have a new tool, a 3D scanner. Yes, I can do it by the traditional way, but why not to make it a little bit more fun and complicated? So let me explain what we have here. There are several cracks in the top that I have to fix. One of them is right here, but for now on we are going to focus on the bottom side. What I did is to clean all this part except this one here, and then I started fixing the cracks. For this one I just used a piece of lining, and this is just temporary because I wanted to focus on this one here, which is the big one. Now this is now glued, but it has no reinforcement. That is because when I was about to glue the reinforcement, that is when Ilán came and everything exploded in my mind. When Ilán said that this top had a bow, I was surprised because it's not very common to see bow in tops. So I thought that maybe it was only bowed because of the tension of the strings during 100 years. So to decide if it was bowed because of the tension of the strings or if it was done on purpose in the construction, we have to take a look at the reinforcements. So this one goes in here and this one goes right here. And to check if the top was in fact bowed, it's very easy. You take the reinforcement, check it with a straight edge, and you can see that it is subtle, but it is there. And in this case it's even a little bit more pronounced. Let's take a moment to explain what a solera is. So we have our reinforcements or crossbar, you name it. I'm going to exaggerate the curve of the bottom, just like that. And we have the top of the guitar. It has the same curve, but it is a little bit loose because it is not under tension anymore. The goal is to glue the crossbar to the top of the guitar, and for that we need some basement. Now, when we apply downforce, everything goes down. Then we apply glue and sandwich everything, and when the glue dries, the top will match both the curve of the reinforcement and the solera.
Oh yeah!
So for that mission, what I'm going to use is this 3D scanner. And I never used a 3D scanner before, and I don't know anything about this specific one. So I think it's a good time for some 3D scanning music. Oh yeah, instructions, please. This guy, yeah, he's probably important back in the day. Very ugly though. If you know who he is, let me know in the comments. I guess this is it. More up there in the description. Okay, so job done. I have to say that this scanning process wasn't joyful. In fact, it was a nightmare. It's very difficult to set up the scanner and to make it work properly. Is the space you have to make it work like it should is just really small. So with this one, this is the last time. At the end I have the top of the guitar in fusion, probably scan it, and you can see here what I mentioned before. This is the part of the bow that is correct, and this is the one that is incorrect. So we have our crossbars that I have to remade in fusion after the scanning, but they are accurate. So with this I started to make the solera itself, which is here, and finally I came with this. Yeah, I know this is a funny material, but it's the one that allows us to see the curvature of the solera. This is not intended to be perfect. As you can see, there are gaps. It's not perfect here or there. There are two reasons for that. The top itself is not even right now because there is no guitar basically. And the other reason is that at the end I always like to tweak the solera manually, so I have to do it anyway. But what we have here is a pretty good starting point to make the final tweak on the solera. Now, this part here, this space here is for the fretboard of the guitar, which is in place, and this one here is for the bridge. The bridge is loose and eventually it would be removed, and I thought a lot doing so now, but yeah, I think it's better to keep it as it is right now because it is in the shape of the top of the guitar, and probably it will help to make things a little bit easier. Now these whole shears mark the center of the solera, which is always important. Always mark your centers. Basically this is it. So in the CNC part of the stuff, I think we can go and simulate. So this is going to be a parallel pass, which is going to make the actual bow of the solera with 12 millimeters ball end mill. This is the pocket for the fretboard, 3 millimeters per layer. Yeah, not too much. This is the pocket for the bridge and the silhouette. Finally, the two holes for the centers, and there it is. Then we have these three parts here, which are going to be used to apply lateral pressure. The technique that I'm going to use is to apply vertical force with the clamping bars and apply also lateral pressure with these parts here, which I'm going to make two of them, one here and one on the other side. I hope this works. Well, there is work to do. There is a big gap here. Also, I have to release this crack because otherwise I'm not going to be able to find the sweet spot. I'm going to remove some material and enable this to flex. This is going to take some time. Now this crack can freely move. So I am back on the solera testing, and this part here feels correct. It touches everywhere. Same here. But the problem is here, because we have this gap, maybe a couple of millimeters, that goes all the way here. So I'm thinking that maybe instead of removing material, I think what I'm going to do is to add some material here in the middle, because everywhere else looks fine. But with the crossbar, you can see, but there's a little gap here. So once we apply pressure here, this is not going to glue properly. But on the sides, it's looking good. I just came with a last minute idea. Well, this is going to be a moment of glory or a moment of shit. It worked. There's a big difference in here and over there. This is going to save me a lot of time. It took several passes, but finally I have something useful to work with. There is a high chance to tweak it again in the future, but for what I'm going to do now, it's good enough. Although it's not the most beauty solera in the world. The gap here is gone. Now the crossbar touches everywhere, firmly. So 1 point for me. But I have a little ethic problem here, because this bar is not flush in this area. Yeah, it's just a little bit, but it should be flat. I don't know what I'm going to do, if I'm going to correct it or I'm going to leave it as it is. My first thought is to remove it, because you can see here these clear areas is where most of the glue was when the crossbar was in place. Meaning that the glue wasn't actuated properly because of this little gap. But I have to think about this twice. Now what I'm going to do is to correct the bow in this area, and for that I'm going to use the solera, because what I'm going to do is to apply humidity and a little bit of heat, and then make a gentle push over the top with the flex bars. The wood is going to dry and hopefully it's going to stay in the shape. As you can see, the flexible bars are very straight. That is because I want to be very gentle with the pressure. If I have to make several passes, I will. But if I over-tight the bars, maybe I broke the top. Slow is the name of the game. I think it's enough for now. Mainly because this video is about half an hour long. I know I should deliver the end of the fixing of the crack, but think about it as a cliffhanger for the next video, which I hope is going to be sooner than usually it is, mainly because I'd like this YouTube thing to be something real. So there's more to come about this guitar and also about other projects, and I'd like to thank you for your support and your beloved words. I really appreciate it. Nothing else. See you in the next video. Bye.